I've been trying very consciously and very diligently to focus on the way I speak to myself internally and also externally because I speak out loud, and trying to make sure that comes from a place of positivity and is not negative. And it has been so hard because I just don't speak to myself very nicely. I came to the realization that I have a very negative internal voice or negative self-talk because one of my friends caught me saying something, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just so stupid. I couldn't figure this thing out, whatever." And they were like, "Oh my god, don't be so mean to yourself. Like, you're not stupid." And I was like, initially, I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, it's like I'm just saying like a flippant comment." And they're like, "No, you do that all the time." And then it became a conversation of how I guess I just generally will say things in my mind that are just jokes or like not serious or kind of flippant or just a throwaway comment, but I actually do make those degrading kind of negative attacks on myself quite often without realizing it. And an example, I filmed a video before this and I took the SD card out of the camera and I do not know where it is, and it's annoying because it's tiny and I'm constantly losing SD cards, and I put them in one place and I have places I put them, but sometimes when I'm on the phone or I'm distracted, my mum called me, I was walking around with it in my hand, I put it somewhere and I don't know where it is, and it'll be here somewhere. But just now before I sat down I said, great, another day of stupidity which has ruined my day because I just can't be smart and put things in the right place. And I was like, oh my god, I'm doing it again. I'm calling myself stupid and saying that I'm like ruining my day, but actually it was a mistake. I have ADHD, I lose stuff. I know this. It's not intentional. It's not the end of the world. I will find it, and if I don't, I'll have to just film the video again or like wait till I find it, and it's fine. It isn't the end of the world. But that is an example, and a very small example of how sometimes you can view yourself in a way, and I'd say I'm a confident person in myself, but there are things that I am not proud of or happy about the way that I exist and the way I do things, and so it can mean that I often will attack myself. And it sounds super artsy-fartsy and airy-fairy, but I genuinely really believe that it's really important to not behave like that. And obviously, where does that come from? Where does negative self-talk come from? And a lot of it, I think, and from what I understand in the reading I've been doing, it comes from comparison and childhood and the way you learn to relate to the world. And so, if you're from a family where you're always compared to your smarter friend or your faster sibling or taller cousin or whatever, you learn to kind of think, okay, well, unless I'm achieving these kind of things or I'm a certain kind of way or have certain attributes, that I'm worse than or I'm less than or I'm not as good as. And so then you address yourself in those ways. So if you then do something and you fail or you don't get full marks, so it's not perfect, you think, oh, that's bad. I did that poorly. I was bad at that thing. Whilst it seems quite inconsequential, actually what it means is that these tiny little cuts happen throughout the day and throughout the week and throughout the month where you're telling yourself you're bad at this, you're not good at that, you effed that up, you didn't do something properly, you were late for that, you weren't good enough for this, you're never going to make it at this. And it goes from, I think that's the point in the last one I said, you're never going to make it. It goes from moment specific comments like, I was bad at this and I'm not good at that and I couldn't do that properly, to then affecting the way you think about yourself when you think about yourself in a forward-looking sense. So I was realizing there were things that I was not letting myself do or scared about doing or anxious about doing because I was worried about whether I thought I could actually do those things. For example, I stopped posting on YouTube because I was like, been doing it for a while. It's kind of embarrassing. Like, I don't get that many views. Like, people don't really watch these videos. My friends do. If you're watching, hi, thanks. People that have been watching for years, I love you guys. But I was like, oh yeah, like, I just don't think it's ever going to happen for me. And so when I was doing YouTube before, I would kind of do videos and I'd get a bit cringed out, and I would post and I wouldn't want to talk about certain things. I wouldn't want to do certain video formats. And I thought, oh, it's so lame. Like, who wants to hear me sitting on my own talking about a topic like this? Like, it's embarrassing. And so I had begun to view myself as not as good as other YouTubers and not as funny and not as entertaining and not someone that's good looking enough to be viral, or just all these things, which meant that I started to believe that I couldn't then achieve something with YouTube because I didn't think I was good enough. So it goes from just being you saying these small things off the cuff to actually affecting the way you view things. And even with other stuff, like I organised an event recently and it went well. I was really glad it went well and I worked really hard for it, and it went, I'm really happy with how it went. But my friend was saying, why don't you plan another one? And I was just kind of like, oh, I won't sell tickets and blah blah blah. And I started listing all these things. And my friend was like, why? What? Like, why is the first thing your mind goes to is like all the reasons that it won't happen, it won't go well for you, or why it might go wrong? And I was like, oh my god. Again, my friends are very good at calling things out. I was like, wow, like that's actually very true. And it made me think about the way I think about other things. And often when I have ideas or I think about doing something like maybe going to do the CFA and study and change careers or something, or the content I'm posting or wanting to write or other things, I'm like, I could do this thing. And then I stop myself, and it's often because I'm embarrassed about wanting to publicly say I want to do those things, because I think, okay, well, I'm not really good at that yet. I'm not a master at that. I'm not super skilled at that. I haven't honed my ability to do that thing yet. So I don't want to publicly admit that I want to do these things, or publicly be seen to, or perceived to do these things, because I'm not good at it, and then I'll be bad, and I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to go and do those things. And so that was kind of held me back. And I even think the way I did certain things, I would kind of get excited to do something and then kind of like not really do it how I really wanted to do it, or fully commit to it, because I was kind of like, well, if it goes bad, then that's embarrassing. If I fail, it's embarrassing. Or I don't think I'm going to be funny enough, or like no one's going to watch this and like this. And I just started to realize that I actually frame a lot of things initially with a view of fear and worry about why it won't happen for me, or that it's not likely to happen for me, or that it's going to go wrong, or that I can't succeed at something, or that I'm not going to make it at something. And that is not good. But I think it generally comes from just the way I speak to myself, and the way how much confidence I instill in myself, and how I view myself forward, like inward looking. And so I've been trying to just not say things like, oh, you're so stupid, or that's dumb, or you made a mistake, or that was really bad, or like, why the hell did you, like, just being mean to myself and telling myself things that make me feel bad. And I think even like the other day, like yesterday, try to set up a in-home bike trainer so I could use my bike at home. And I managed to snap a piece, and it damaged the thing, and I had to go to a shop, and it took 3 hours, and I had to go again today. And I got so annoyed at myself, because I was like, why can't you just do something properly and just do it right? And now you've damaged your bike, and I was really having a go at myself, and to the point where I just got so annoyed and so upset that I had to just get into bed, and I just ended my day. I just watched TV and didn't do anything. So I just couldn't bring myself out of that place. And I realized again this morning, I had beaten myself up to a point where I felt so annoyed and disappointed and frustrated with myself that I then couldn't function, have a normal day, because I was so mean to myself. And so that is another example of how the way I kind of spoke internally to myself has direct and immediate negative effects. And so today I woke up and I said, you know what, I'm not going to let this thing defeat me. I'm going to figure it out. And I got on my bike, and I went to 2 different bike shops, and I found someone, and they helped me, and they were nice enough to help me, and they fixed it. And now I've ordered the part I need to use, so I can actually set up the home trainer tomorrow. And there's a very clear example of differences between one day where I was mean to myself and I kind of made myself feel like crap, and then I actually gave up, and one where I told myself I can figure it out and it'll be fine, I'm going to be able to do it. And I ended up going and getting it sorted, and now I've had a good day and positive. And actually then has had positive knock-on effects for the rest of the day, because I came home and did other things I need to do, and I'm filming this video, and I've been clearing space on my laptop because I've needed to do that for months. And it just can really have a shift. And I'm not saying that every day's like this. I'm not saying I'm constantly positive. Sometimes, yeah, I'm like, well, that was bad, or that didn't go well, or whatever. But I think it's interesting. I think I see my friends do it, and this is the thing about like sense of self and perception. I would never say the things I say to myself internally to my other friends. I'd always say, oh, don't worry, it's not a big a deal, it's fine, or yeah, people make mistakes, or don't worry, you'll be fine, or like, no, I really think you're going to make, I really think you're going to be good at this, I really think you could be successful at that. But when you talk to yourself, of course, there's worry and fear. And I'm initially, and I've had this conversation with other friends, I think people are always towards themselves doubtful and full of fear and question things, and like, oh, like, are you really going to be good enough to like go and run a marathon? You're not going to train properly, and then you're going to have a bad time. And you start telling yourself all the reasons no, and knocking yourself down before you even start, so that you just end up not starting. And there are a lot of things that I have started, and I'm doing like YouTube and other things. There are a lot of things I haven't started because I just kind of felt that I'm not good enough to start them. And even with this video and YouTube and my other content accounts, like, and stuff like that, when I post something that doesn't do well, I think, yeah, how embarrassing for you. Like, no one's watching this, and it's not getting views, and you've been posting for so long that it's just not going to happen to you. Because, I mean, if it was going to happen to you by now, it would happen, and your videos aren't that good, and you're not like this creator, and you're not like funny like this guy, and you don't look like this person, you're not in good shape. And I start attributing the video doing badly to me being bad and me having all these flaws and having all these issues, when realistically it's nothing to do with that. It's an algorithm, it's random, and like whatever, and who knows, whatever happens. And some videos do well and some don't, and I've had videos do well, and when they do well, I don't say it's, oh, it did well but you're still a loser. I'm like, oh good, but I shouldn't attach my wealth or my worth even, sorry, or the way I speak to myself to how something performs. And that is, I think, another example that I realized, where when videos do bad and I work a long time on them, I start to make myself feel personally responsible, like it's my fault and I've made a mistake. Then I get upset and I get annoyed and I have a bad day, and again I'm in bed watching TV. And so I'm suddenly starting to have my eyes open and seeing very clearly how the way I self-relate and self-talk can have direct knock-on effects. And I think it kind of is in the school of like positivity and manifestation, and just like self-positivity and self-love and affirmation. All these things, like, they sound like whatever, but you might not necessarily, might not be your cup of tea, and you might not see it as something that's super relatable for you, but there are definitely home truths and things that everyone can take from this. And I was just watching a video just about this, and someone was saying that the sooner you stop comparing yourself to other people and having this kind of this idealistic self, or when that version of you is the best version of you, and only when you are performing at that level are you good, and if you're slipping up or falling below that, then you're bad. The sooner you stop having that idealistic self and you kind of start allowing yourself to just be who you are day to day, and accepting and loving whatever version of yourself shows up, whatever happens to you, and being able to say that was good enough and I tried my best and I am whatever, the sooner the gap between that idealistic self and reality of who you are and where you are right now closes, the less shame you have about things, and less shame you have about yourself, because the gap is what creates shame. Well, I should be like this, and I should be doing that, and I should be whatever. And of course, this is all not to say that we should just give up trying and just be who we are. Of course, I want to improve certain things in my life. I want to be more active, and I want to be in better shape, and I want to be more consistent with my content. I want to be more productive and more efficient. And these are things I really care about and I really want to do, and I'm struggling to do them, but I know I want to do them, and I'm trying hard, and I'm making progress with everything I'm doing. Tiny bits of progress every day. That's something I should be proud of, and telling myself, well done, today was a good day, you tried, you made progress in this way, you made an effort with this way, you've done better at this, you've done better at that, and making myself feel better, rather than making myself focus on the negative all the time. And that's what I do. I'm always looking at what is missing, what isn't accurate, what isn't there, what is not where it should be, and then focusing on how I'm going to change that, how I need to edit more and film more, I need to write more, I need to apply to more jobs, I need to do more applications, I need to hone my all these things, focusing on what I haven't done and what isn't perfect and what isn't right, rather than allowing myself to, yes, of course, it's good to look at what you want to work on and what you want to improve, but that shouldn't be the bulk of your time. Instead, I should allow myself to focus on what is going well, what I am happy about, what I have achieved, what I'm proud of, and then using that to spur myself on to keep being productive and keep having positive days. So if this is something you didn't realize you do, you can catch it in interesting ways. When you drop something, when you're on your own in the house and you're thinking, or if you talk out loud, what do you say to yourself? Oh, I've lost that again. Like, oh, why can't I ever just? Or if you are late and you're like, God, I'm so stupid, I should just left earlier. Or if you don't get a job, you say, I was never going to get it anyway because I'm just not good enough and I'm never going to be able to make it in that industry. Or if you aren't promoted, or you're trying a creative hobby and it isn't going well, do you tell yourself, oh, that's because I'm just not smart enough, I'm not good enough? Or if you have something you want to try and you want to start, are you saying to yourself, I'm just not good enough to be a YouTuber or a content creator, I'm just not funny enough to start doing stand-up, I'm not good enough a writer to write, or I'm not in the right body shape to go and post online, or I'm not athletic enough to go and try that sport, or if I go, it's going to be embarrassing because everyone's going to know that I'm bad. Like, are you talking to yourself in a bad way and telling yourself reasons why you can't do the things you want to do? Because if you are, then like me, you probably have a negative internal voice, and you should probably try and silence it and turn it into a positive one. Thank you for watching another video. This was enjoyable again to talk and just share the way I'm processing things I'm realizing, and hopefully it was useful and there are things you could relate to, and hopefully you've learned something. And if you did, let me know in the comments. If you have dealt with self-talk, how did you deal with it? How have you improved it? And if there are any other topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know. But that is it for this video, so I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.